Hey, it's Drybear. Patch 10.0.7 for Dragonflight is almost here next week on Tuesday, which means that right after that, we're going to be looking at 10.1. And with this will be a brand new raid tier. In this video today, we'll talk about the testing schedule. So if you're looking to get a head start on playing the new raid tier, testing out the raid bosses, those will be available starting this weekend on the PTR for 10.1 and going in through April. If you found value in this video, leave a like down below. It helps me out tremendously. Subscribe for more gaming content. And as always, if you have any questions or comments for me, you'll find me live every single day on twitch.tv/Drybear. Come by and say hey. So if you jump onto the 10.1 PTR, there actually already is the Dungeon Journal Adventure Guide notes for the new raid, which is Aberrus, the Shadowed Crucible. All of the bosses listed in here have most of their notes. There's some they're going to be missing on individual details, but at least you can see the mechanics, the names of the abilities. You can look at some of the tooltips and start planning out how you're going to interact with these bosses. Now, all of the bosses inside of Aberrus are going to be part of the PTR testing schedule, except for the final boss, the Scale Commander Sarkareth. He will not be part of the testing schedule. They're kind of keeping that one close to the chest. But the other bosses, the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bosses will be available for testing. And that is according to this schedule that they just posted on their PTR discussion board here. So Aberrus, the raid testing schedule is very fluid and subject to realities of a test environment. They might have to make changes. They might have to bring things down. But this is kind of their loose schedule of how they want these encounters tested if you're looking to get early details on the fights themselves. So, Aberrus, the Shadow Crucible raid testing schedule. The final boss will not be available, as I mentioned before. But starting Thursday, March 16th, Heroic, Khazara, the Hellforged, and the Amalgamation Chamber will be available during these time frames so that you can test them on that day. Now, in the past, they've done this differently. We don't really know exactly how, if they're going to block things off or you're going to be able to walk around inside the raid. I don't know, but they're going to have these as available for heroic testing. Then Friday, March 17th, the day of Diablo 4 early access for pre-purchasers available. There's also going to be some heroic testing for the Vigilant Steward, Skarn, and then Rashok the Elder will also be available. So you can see these times listed here in Pacific time, which is where Blizzard is headquartered, Pacific Western time for United States. It'll be at 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. on the 2, and the same thing goes for Friday. Going into Thursday, March 23rd, they will have 2 new bosses. It's possible of these bosses here, since they're doing, on the first one here, they're doing Khazara and then the Amalgamation. It's probably based on where the wings are located, since those are kind of set up here. So you have Khazara, the Hellforged, right here, and then they're going to go into the Amalgamation, which could be multiple bosses in here. Then you have the Vigilant Steward and Rashok the Elder. So Vigilant Steward and Rashok the Elder. So they're kind of moving down that way. We don't know exactly where Malgoth or the Assault will be, the Forgotten Experiments, but they'll have that kind of set up there as well. And remember, these are for heroic, so you do want a decent group of people to come in and test it. I'm going to see if I can get a group together myself from people in the community, and if you're interested in being part of that, join the Discord and comment in the World of Warcraft channel in our Drybear Discord if you want to get involved in testing out the PTR for these bosses. So there'll be 2 new heroic bosses not listed here on the 23rd, so the following weekend starting on Thursday. Then Friday, they will have a normal start and end, which might be all the bosses except for the last one, if I'm reading this correctly. And then heroic will be 2 new bosses as well, probably the ones they've missed out of the 8 that are there. If you assume that there's, there are 4 testing here, 6, and then this would be the final 8, so that way they have all 8 of the bosses prior to the final boss tested there on those days. And then on Thursday, March 30th, which is the following week, they're doing Thursday, Friday testing. They have Mythic 2 bosses, which again will probably follow the same schedule as this, I would guess, since they're going to use the data they get from the heroic testing, probably to tune and update and fix the Mythic testing. And then Friday will be Raid Finder. So, and as they go forward, they will unlock more Raid Finder wings at a later date, but they're going to allow Raid Finder for a specific wing, so you can just kind of test that difficulty. Then the following week, April 6th and 7th, they're going to have 3 mythic bosses. I'm guessing since they have 2 there and 6 here, this will be all of the remaining bosses for mythic, and then they're going to be probably updated testing for whichever bosses they feel they need to test the most. I'm guessing whatever the 4 bosses here for the 14th and the 21st. The ones that need the most testing, once they're done working on it, or maybe there's visual issues, graphic issues, content issues, or balance issues, they'll pick the ones that they need the most focus on, and they'll be able to do the mythic testing there. Since they do know that you're going to need to get a group of 20 people for the mythic testing, and it's going to be on PTR, so you have to make sure that only competitive guilds will be the ones that are showing up for these. So it's a little bit harder to get a group for that. So that's it. A quick Q&A here if you're wondering how to get to the zone and what to do about it. They have how to get into the raid zone in Valdrakken, Orgrimmar, or Stormwind. You can talk to the Nexus Lord, Donjon Raid 5, in order to teleport into the raid zone. It is open for testing, so you can just teleport straight there. The zone will not be available when it's not open for testing, but at least you can go straight to the raid testing area that you need to. What character should use to test the raid? Whichever you prefer, and they'll be scaling players' effective level to 70 for the testing and their item level to an appropriate threshold. So you don't have to worry about copying over like a maxed out tier 1 character. They'll be able to get you what you need to be able to play properly in that setting. And the primary purpose of the testing is to give us information we need to balance the encounters, evaluate the mechanics, and fix things. So once they're satisfied that they've gotten it to where they want to do, or they have enough data to balance it the way they want, they're going to be able to shut that down. So anywhere, I mean, if they feel like, hey, this is going great, we're not getting any bug reports, it may go down after 45 minutes. But if there's other issues and they want people to have multiple attempts, they might have longer testing windows. And again, this goes all the way through Friday, April 21st, plus Raid Finder mixed in there as well. So there is that. If you have any bugs, test it out. Use the PTR bug tester. You can report an issue that you found in the encounters, and then you can read this journal here as well. But if you're interested in trying out the new raid tier, this will be available for you starting this weekend. If you enjoyed yourself today, leave a like down below. You can support me and my work on Patreon and view Patreon exclusive content, link in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.